So today I'm back in North Wales. It's been a little while since I've been here. I've been in Scotland and Northern England for the last few adventures, but I'm here for 3 days at least, and I'm going to try and get a good few adventures in while I'm here. Anyway, I got here a little bit early, so I decided to go on a nice picturesque walk with the promise of a waterfall at the end of it, and I just thought along the way I'd answer all of your questions that you left me last night. Now, I drove down here, parked up, realised I didn't have a signal on my phone and couldn't read any of the comments, so I've had to go out a little bit till I had a signal, screenshot all the questions so I can come back on the walk again and read through them. So we got there in the end. Right, let's do this. Right, I'm only actually going to be able to read out your handles, your YouTube handles, rather than your full name, because I've only got screenshots, I can't expand on what I've got here. So first question is from Tish80. What is your first name? I don't think you've said it, or I keep missing it, lol. Now, I did originally, when I first started the channel a year ago, have a little channel trailer that actually did introduce me as Wayne. So there we go. Now you know who I am. Okay, so the next question is from Josie Rosie, and it's actually 6 questions. As she says herself in the comment that she's actually very nosy. I'm sure you're not. So what's my go-to road trip snack? Well, normally if I'm on a long drive, I'll bring some sandwiches. My snack would be mini Mars bars. I always buy a pack of 8 mini Mars bars. They give me a little bit of a boost when I'm sort of hiking and stuff like that, and I normally munch a few of them when I'm bored in the car after a couple of hours driving. So there we go, that's that one. Do I plan to do any other types of exploring on the channel? Well, I've already done a few, been up to a couple of mountains, had a look at some plane crashes, and I'm actually going to be doing another mountain tomorrow. That's the main reason I'm here. Not all bothies, I know that they are the most popular thing on the channel, but I am trying to think of lots of different things to do in between, just to break it up a little. And to be honest, quite a lot of the bothies, once you get up into the north of Scotland, are fairly inaccessible, take a hell of a lot more planning than the ones I've been to so far. But in the meantime, I'm trying to do things like mountain climbing, caving, you know, hiking out to see wrecks and ruins and you name it. I'm looking at all of it, but we'll see. Okay, I'll answer another couple of Josie's questions before I move on to everyone else. Okay, what do I listen to when I drive? I have occasionally listened to podcasts, but mostly I just listen to classical music, to be honest. I used to be into all sorts of pop music and rock music and dance music and you name it, I liked it. But as I've got older, especially the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I've just decided that classical music, I've always loved it, but I've just come to realise how timeless it is. You know, there are pieces of music that are hundreds of years old that sound like they were written yesterday. I mean, they're so incredible. Whereas a lot of the music I listened to a few years ago, I can't stand now. You know, it wasn't music at all, to be honest, by comparison, in my opinion. So yeah, classical music's where I'm at now. I find it really relaxing, and yeah, that's about it. She also asks, do I plan to do any exploring with family or friends? I have thought about it, but it's taken me a year to get comfortable talking in front of the camera when people are within earshot. Do get a bit embarrassed about it. Plus, when I'm on my own, if I make a mistake, I can just do a retake. But when I'm in front of people and they see me saying the same line 2 or 3 times over until I get it right, it's embarrassing, you know. So my nephew has taken an interest in bothying. He's watched all my videos. He really wants to come along for one of them. So maybe at some point, my little nephew, I say little, he's like 23 now, I think he is, 22, 23. Anyway, he's in the army, he's not a little boy, so yeah, I really wouldn't have to worry about his fitness levels. He'll probably be outpacing me. But yeah, it might be fun to bring him along, so maybe I'll do that in future. So the last question from Josie is, do I have any pets? I don't, because I live alone, and it just wouldn't be fair leaving a pet on its own for the days on end that I disappear and do these adventures. I do like dogs, my daughter's got a dog, but I wouldn't own one. I just find them too much responsibility. Personally, I'm a cat person. I just love their self-reliance. Dogs are much too reliant on you. Cats are where it's at for me. Sorry, dog lovers. Okay, Melissa Bushell. What made you decide on doing bothy videos? Well, it was actually seeing someone else's bothy video on YouTube. I already had a YouTube channel, did that for about 5 years up to that point, and I was getting really bored of it, and it was basically gaming and spending a lot of time sitting in, writing scripts, and it was just killing me in the end. I just couldn't do it anymore because I was working as well. So I decided I wanted to start getting outdoors and started looking for ideas of what to do on YouTube. And then I came across a video by Ruth Ayling where she stayed at White Lagan Bothy in southern Scotland. And that video, honestly, I watched it from beginning to end, really inspired me to get out there and try that myself. And my first bothy was Glendora in the Highlands. And it was entirely because of that video by Ruth Ayling that I decided to do that bothy in the first place. Then I uploaded it on YouTube and it got about 70,000 views. So I was like, wow, people really liked the bothy video. I tried to do other stuff in between. They didn't really take off. And so in the end, I think it was January. I think the original one was in October, and then in January I did another one, which was Grimval in near the Brecon Beacons, and that one got a couple of 100,000 views. Done really well, so that really was the start of it. I knew that I just had to do more bothies on the channel. Okay, the next question is from English Andy. What year was I born? Now, this is probably going to be controversial for some people because I call myself an 80s kid. And the reason I do that is because, in my opinion, you're not really an 80s kid unless you remember being a kid in the 80s, which I was. I was actually born in the early 70s. So I was like 10 in 1983, put it that way. So I really was a kid in the 80s, and I remember everything about it. And so I am actually 52 years old, and hopefully I don't look it. Please be nice. So Almost There asks, the bothy where I found the sleeping bag and the pillow. What do I think was going on there? So that was Mosedale Cottage bothy, and yeah, it was a little bit spooky. I definitely got the impression that someone regularly sleeps there, put it that way. And I'm still not convinced to this day that someone wasn't there and they were just hiding. You know, I'm never going to be able to prove that, and I live to tell the tale, so even if that was the case, at least they stayed out of my way. But yeah, it was a bit weird. So next up is Aurelis ESP. Sorry if I mispronounced your handle there. If you could build a bothy, where would you build it and why? Well, the biggest problem for me on the channel is that all of the bothies are in Wales, Northern England and Scotland. And I live right down in the southeast of England. So it's hundreds of miles every time I need to go and do one of these trips. It's just started raining, so I'm going to stand under this tree for a minute. So I tend to try and get away for 3 or 4 days and try and do at least 3 adventures, so that I don't have to do the trips every single week the way I used to have to, because it's just crazy mileage every week. Anyway, I'm kind of off point. So there's no specific place I'd want to build a bothy. However, I would like some to be much closer to where I live. The reason there aren't bothies close to where I live is because basically there's not much wilderness where I live. Now, in the Midlands there are places that, you know, probably could get away with having a bothy, I think, and there may be a couple of unofficial ones that, you know, don't really have sleeping platforms and stuff. But yeah, just something a little bit closer to home to me would be nice. So Ninchik82 asks, how do I find the bothies that I want to visit? Well, I basically just think about how far I want to travel first of all, and how much time I've got, and I'll look at the ones in a certain area. I don't want to go to ones that look similar to each other, all sort of back to back. I like to try and keep them interesting. Plus I don't want them all to be in one part of the UK, so one month I'll do something in Wales, next month I'll do something in England, and then Scotland, and try and mix it up that way. Okay, Sheila Wynn wants to know what my favourite 80s band was and song. I mean, it was just such a prolific period. Obviously, you know, you've got Queen and, you know, big names that are known all around the world. But I guess one that sort of immediately springs to mind is Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. How about that? Yeah, I'll go with that one. So Louise P5178 asks, do I ever get scared staying in bothies? I certainly do get nervous. The last one I went to actually creeped me out for different reasons. Not because the bothy itself was scary, but because the hike there was scary. It got dark before I arrived. I sort of misjudged when the sun was going to go down. Oh my goodness, trying to walk through boggy stuff in the forest in the dark. That was pretty scary. But whether I've been scared of ghosts or not, I don't know. I try not to think about it. Generally, I just make myself busy, and so far nothing scared me. Okay, the shower's passed, I can step back out again. Just don't want to get too wet, it's only my first afternoon in Wales, and I've only got a certain amount of clothes to change into. So, Jeremiah 81, do I carry anything for self-defense versus animals or bad actors? No, because we don't really have any scary animals in this country. Biggest thing you're going to see is, you know, a stag. As far as carnivores are concerned, badgers and foxes. So yeah, nothing that's really going to come anywhere near us or harm us in any way, really. Bad actors, that's definitely a possibility. I've been lucky so far, but there's always a chance that there's going to be someone there that at the very least doesn't want me there, you know, or wouldn't make me feel welcome. But whether there'd be someone there that would actually hurt me, I doubt, to be honest, because most of these bothies are really hard to get to, and you have to be quite dedicated to get to them. So yeah, bad actors, maybe they're going to be like more your city types than bothy types. Okay, so the next one's from News Guy Camping. What's been the funniest experience in a bothy and the scariest? The funniest one wasn't really anything particular that made me, laugh out loud. But I guess when I was at Creepiest come back and the 8 lads turned up, that was pretty funny, and they turned out to be a good laugh as well. So I guess that's the most fun I've had in a bothy. So scariest, Kershope Head, the scary corner, but also the journey into the bothy has been scary a few times. I found myself going the wrong way on a mountain and stuff, and finding it's just loose scree and I can't see where the track is, and I get a little bit scared then that I've made a mistake and I've got to backtrack and work out what happened. There's definitely an element of pressure to find the bothy if you're running out of daylight and stuff. Plus you don't want to fail. So yeah, you have to sort of keep yourself in check sometimes. Try not to do anything stupid. Don't want to find myself climbing up something I shouldn't and then falling and hurting myself, that kind of thing. So really that's the most scary thing that I find on my hikes. Nothing ghostly so far. Hopefully it stays that way. Okay, Greyhound Clayhounds wants to know if I'm from Northamptonshire in England. Well, I am from England, but I'm actually from Hertfordshire. I'm a Hertfordshire lad. Did spend probably half my life living in and around London, but originally from Hertfordshire, and I live in Hertfordshire again now. So, okay, I'm going to take a quick break from the questions because I've just come across this lovely staircase in the hillside there. There is a path that I've been following, but I'm going to go up this way just because it looks interesting. And I think we're going to see the waterfall at the top of it. So that's really what I've come here to see, other than answer all your questions. It's not too steep. It's been a nice little walk. Pretty even. And there we go, look at that. Wow. I think I read that it's like 55 meters. So yeah, I've got no internet, so I can't check, but I think that it's 55 meters tall, something like that. So it's pretty big. And it's called Aber Falls. Right, there's still a little bit of a walk between here and the bottom of the waterfall, so a few more questions. Vincent Ellison asks, why trucking? Was it a passion or a family tradition? No, it was just an accident, to be honest. And when I say trucking, I didn't drive any of the long haul trucks, the big articulated things. In the UK, when I passed my driving test, you were allowed to drive a heavy goods vehicle that weighed maximum 7.5 tons. And because my driver's license entitled me to drive them, I just found myself doing it through an agency job, and it earned pretty good money, and 20 years later I was still doing it. Yeah, so it's just something I ended up doing after trying lots and lots of different jobs, office work, painting, decorating, building, mechanics, you name it, I tried it. And ultimately it meant I was out on the road on my own. If I needed to go to the toilet or grab a bit of food or whatever, or a coffee, I could just do it. So I like the freedom of being out on the road instead of stuck in an office or a warehouse or something like that. Geordie Grandma asks, do I get bored in a bothy? Well, I don't really. I try not to get to them too early because then there would be the potential for boredom. Plus, quite often you don't have a phone signal, so you can't play with your phone or look at, Twitter or anything like that. X, whatever you call it these days. But yeah, I basically just keep myself busy, cooking, cleaning, looking around, talking to the camera, reading the bothy book. And I don't tend to stay up too late. I wait for it to get dark, do my usual wander around by torchlight, inside and out. And once I've done everything I want to do, it's pretty much bedtime then. I don't always sleep well, as you may know if you've watched all of my videos, but I do like to get up early and try and capture a good sunrise, that kind of thing as well. So yeah, I just keep myself busy. Don't tend to get bored, to be honest. I've never really got bored with my own company because I just spend so much time on my own. I'm kind of used to it. So Johanna ELO, or Elo, sorry if I've mispronounced your name, asks what was my favourite bothy and what was my creepiest bothy. So I think the creepiest one wasn't actually Kershope Head with the creepy corner. I think it was Penrhos Isaf. It was raining, it was dark, it was cold, it was in the middle of the forest. I don't know, something about that place was unnerving. I slept okay there and I didn't experience anything, out of the ordinary, but it's definitely a creepy looking building, probably one of the creepiest. And my favourite one so far was one I did just a few weeks back near Balmoral, is Glasshouse Shield, Queen Victoria's widow's house. Amazing, that one. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to top it, but bothies do continually surprise me, not just what they look like, but where they are, etc. Okay, this is a funny one. Tracy Zender, I think it is. Why don't I have a girlfriend? Well, first of all, how do you know I don't have a girlfriend? But the truth is, I don't have a girlfriend. Let's just say I had a number of bad experiences, one in particular that kind of was the final nail in the coffin, and I just decided that I just had enough. I was just going to focus my time on my daughter. She came and stayed with me pretty much every single weekend, and ultimately it's just been so long living on my own that I just can't imagine, you know, dividing my time now with somebody else. Okay, Sonia Harvey, half of your question is cut off on the screenshot. I'm sorry, so I'm only going to be able to answer the first half. Maybe I'll do the last half in the next video for you. How far have I travelled to search out a bothy? Most of the travelling really is done in the car, and I guess probably about 450-500 miles, something like that, I've had to drive to get some of these places, and then on top of that I have to hike out to them, which is, you know, generally a few miles at least. So yeah, quite far. As I said earlier, I live at completely the wrong end of the country. Okay, last couple of questions, because I'm right on top of the waterfall now and the spray is literally hitting me in the face, so we're going to have a proper look at that in a second. But yeah, last two questions. Amy Burl asks, is this my full-time job or am I retired? Up until 7 or 8 weeks ago, I think it is now, I was a truck driver. At this moment, something blew into my face, almost hitting me in the eye, and I didn't notice it was there until after I'd finished filming somehow. So it is my full-time job for the moment. If things don't work out and I can't make enough money on the channel, then I may have to go back to work, unfortunately. But for the time being, I'm making weekly content and really trying to make the channel my full-time job. No, I haven't retired. I wish I could. And last one then, from Ellie B. Urbex's videos on YouTube have destroyed a lot of lost places. Am I afraid that destructive people will enter the bothies and vandalise them? But I suppose this one goes a little bit back to the, you know, dodgy people in bothies. These places, or a lot of them at least, are in the middle of nowhere and really hard to get to. Even for me, some of them I've put off because they're a logistical nightmare to try and work out how to get to. So yeah, I don't really think vandals are going to put themselves through what it takes to get to some of these places just to vandalise them. However, I have seen graffiti and, you know, rubbish and, you know, beers and stuff. Obviously it happens, there's not much you can do about it. I have heard of parties happening in some Kershope Head that happened in. So yeah, it's not ideal, and obviously I am raising awareness of these places, but I think the majority of people that enjoy these videos, these bothy videos, are either just going to feel like they're vicariously going on the adventure with me and have no intention of actually doing it themselves, or they're going to feel like, oh my god, that's something I really want to do, and they're going to be enthusiastic about the place and respect the place and look after it and be, you know, a bit like me, which is what I hope to instill in people that watch the channel, to look after the places, clean up, take your rubbish away, all those kinds of things, follow the bothy code basically. So yeah, there's always a risk, but I think 99% of the people that go to these places are not going to vandalise them, and hopefully that won't be what happens in the future. Anyway, let's go and have a look at this waterfall. Okay, you can see the waterfall, and I was going to walk up to it, but lots of people are coming and going, and I don't really want to film while they're there. So I've seen an alternative route that's hopefully going to bring me up on the other side of it. Looks like you can go down there, cross a little bridge, and then up round there. So let's do it. Little bit of a staircase here, so that's cool. So beautiful here. I do love being near rushing water. Probably sounds very loud on camera though. Yeah, so we've got a nice rocky staircase. It's a bit wet and slippy, there is some spray coming off of the waterfall. The forecast for today at least was going to be quite wet, so to be honest this isn't too bad. It's much better than I thought it was going to be. I'm hoping tomorrow will be a nice dry day. It's definitely forecast to be. You just never can tell in this part of the world. Not just Wales in general, but once you get into the mountainous region, it can be like sunny 1 minute, chucking it down with rain the next, and gale force wind 5 minutes later. It's just so changeable. That's impressive. I don't know how wet I'm going to get. It's actually much more impressive than I thought it was going to be. Photographs just never seem to do any of the places I visit justice. When I see these places with my own eyes, I say it all the time, but it's just so true. It's just much more breathtaking. And I do hope that I can capture these places the way I see it, so you can all enjoy it as much as I do. There's so many sheep up there as well. It's crazy. That's not far off being vertical, and it's just loose scree, but they're all quite happy up there. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of spray hitting me right in the face. I'm having to wipe it all off the lens every few seconds. Quite a thick mist coming off of that. So yeah, it's all just shooting straight through that narrow piece of rock there and cascading down into a lovely pool at the bottom. And the valley goes all the way off down there. So I wonder how many years, how many thousands of years, tens of thousands of years it took to forge this entire valley. And amazingly, I just noticed it's cleared up to such a degree now I can see the sea right out there. I'm actually right next to the north coast of Wales where I am at the moment. But yeah, that's definitely the sea, or at least the bay leading out to the sea. I remember when I was a kid and we were driving to the coast, I'd always get excited when I saw the sea. And to be honest, I still do. It's very alluring. So at the end of this very short hike, there really was a beautiful waterfall, and I'm really glad that I did it. But I am getting wet, so I'm going to start heading back now. Anyway, I hope you're satisfied with all of the answers to your questions. If I do have any more trickle in before the next video, then I will answer some of those as well if I can. Thank you very much for getting involved and leaving your questions in the comments to that post yesterday. But it's time I get back to the car. So if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, that is. It does not cost a penny to subscribe, but if you do want to support the channel, you can become a member now. So if you go to my homepage, you'll see the join button next to the subscribe button. Tap that, it'll give you all the details, and I'd really appreciate it if you did. So anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Hello.